YouTube family, what's good with you? It's your boy 2A in LA, and as always, fam, anything I say in this episode, prior episodes, and future episodes is just my personal opinion. Don't take it as fact. Don't take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusions. Right about now, fam, I should go ahead and tap that like button for your boy. If you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome. Come on in. You can join the congregation by smashing that subscribe button and requesting all post notifications. And if you are an existing supporter of this channel, damn, I appreciate you more than you can possibly imagine. You are the reason this channel is anything. All right, fam, let's get into this episode. So look, fam, this episode is really to try to demystify what's going on in kind of the mid-tier 2011 market. Now, some people may argue about what's mid-tier, what's entry-level. In my opinion, you really start talking about entry-level at kind of the $2,000 to $3,500 mark. Think your Staccatos, think your Masterpiece Arms, think your Jacob Grays, things like that. And then kind of the upper end of the market, I kind of feel like is kind of 5,500 and up. You're looking at your Hayes of the world, the Venoms of the world, the Raffertys of the world, the Atlases of the world, the Infinities of the world, right? And to me, that mid-tier is kind of right in between there, kind of that 4,000 to 5,000 or a little bit above range. And there are more and more players entering this market, it seems like every day. And so I thought it would be helpful to kind of bring in a lot of the guns that are in that mid-tier. And so in front of me here, we've got 6 guns that represent, I would say, a significant slice of that mid-tier area. We have the Crosman Arms 4.6 2011. We've got the Legion Precision Chirac 2011. We've got the Covert Watchtower Apache 2011. We've got the Type A/BG Defense EG11 2011. We've got the Race City RC9. We've got the Phoenix Trinity HTAC. And last but not least, we've got the Staccato XE. So look, fam, some of these guns are bone stock. Others have been upgraded. We'll talk about that and as we kind of get into each of them. And I think what I'm planning on doing is kind of rating them from like maybe not as good to best, because all of these guns are really, really good guns. I was going to say from worst to best, but I don't want to make it seem like any of these aren't phenomenal firearms. Most all of these are in my collection, except for the Crosman. So safe to say that if I didn't think these guns were really good guns, I wouldn't have bought them, right? So let's kind of start off with the Staccato XE. I had a Jones for a Staccato XE. Something about just how smooth the gun racked relative to everything I had shot at the time. Something about how light and feathery the trigger was. And keep in mind, when I bought this, I really hadn't owned an Atlas yet. I hadn't experienced a Venom or a Hayes. And so to me, at the time, I thought kind of the XC was kind of the pinnacle of the 2011 market. Of course, I knew about Infinity and other race guns, but hadn't really had the opportunity to experience them firsthand. I still, to this day, think the Staccato XE is a great, great gun. But when you start comparing it to other guns in the price range, it's $4,500, right? And so it's $4,500 with not the best trigger and a polymer grip. Built really good, runs very, very reliable platform, but I feel like I always say, if you want to know what I think about a gun, look at what I do to it. And so I took the Staccato XC, I upgraded the grip module, I deleted out the grip safety, and I upgraded the trigger. Now this gun runs, man, like nobody's business. But I had to do that to get it to this level. So in my opinion, the XC is kind of on the lower end of kind of that mid-tier because of that. Now, if you want to make the improvements that I made so it runs like one of the top tier guns, then it's going to cost you probably another $1,500 or so. So now, instead of being $4,500, it's a $6,000 gun. And if you're spending $6,000 on a gun, would you be better off buying an Atlas? I would argue, like the Apollo, for instance. I would argue yes. All right, fam. Next up, the Phoenix Trinity H-TAC. Look, I've done a review on this gun. You guys know I think the H-TAC and the XC are very comparable. Now, the H series from Phoenix Trinity offers several different models. The H-TAC, though, when I got it, did not have a metal grip. And so I upgraded that here. I also had the coating redone. Look, this gun is a phenomenal shooter, but if you ask anyone, they will tell you that generally speaking, QC on Phoenix Trinity guns are sometimes not the best. Customer service is sometimes not the best. And so the fact that, you know, I had to kind of change out the grip module and upgrade the coating and have the gun re-QC'd so that it's the gun that you see here today, I think says something about it. Great gun. It shoots incredibly well, really, really fat. Really good comp system on the H-TAC as well as the XC, I might add. But again, I think it's very comparable to the XC, and I would put it kind of on the lower end of the guns that you see here. All right, fam, next up, the Type A EG11. Look, fam, this was the little engine that could. This was the gun, this was the first kind of mid-tier gun that I saw that I was like, oh, on paper, this gun has should be everything you would want. All metal grip, very well balanced, good trigger. This gun should have been my go-to mid-tier gun. But look, this was Type A's first real, / BG Defense, first real swing at a 2011. Now, what's funny is the way I got introduced to this gun was through Covert. And Type A had sent out a prototype gun. And that gun had a lot of rounds to it. It was a smooth shooting son of a something. Let me just say that. It was very, very smooth, ran like a top. But what happens a lot of times, and I've seen it now more than once, when these companies break into the 2011 space and they create a firearm, obviously when the prototypes come out, those guns have been tested to the nines. But when demand picks up and they have to start producing at a high rate, how do those guns, how does their QC hold up? How does the manufacturing process hold up? As you guys know, if you've watched the channel, when I got this gun, it had some issues. I had to send it back for warranty work. Took about 30 days for them to fix it and get it back. And I would still say, relative to some of the other guns that we're about to talk about, this gun still is a little bit sticky, even though it's got a lot of rounds through it, and I put some plus P rounds through it. I'd say that on paper, this gun should be everything that these other guns are, but it's not, primarily because the manufacturing process isn't as well grooved as it needs to be. It's an incredible shooter, though. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, none of these guns are bad guns. They're all phenomenal guns. We're really arguing about which supermodel do we like the best. But of the supermodels, I'd say this one had everything that it should have. It just doesn't have the finesse that some of the other guns we're about to talk about have. All right, fam. Next up is the Legion Precision Chirac. This is another gun that I think on paper checked all the boxes. And as a matter of fact, what I really loved about it, at the time that I bought this gun, it had a sub $4,000 or right around $4,000. I think sub $4,000 price tag for the longer barreled version. And so I felt like all metal gun, aluminum grip, really good trigger, ported, had all the bells and whistles, everything you wanted, even a step further than the EG11 because the EG11 was not ported, right? And I felt like from a value buy perspective at the time, hard to beat the Legion Precision Chirac. Now, all Legion Precision Chiracs are not made equal. Covert for their version got an all DLC coating, and some of the other guns I think may be PVD or Cerakote. So depending on where you bought your gun from, your results may vary. But I'll tell you that the Chirac had some of the same manufacturing issues in terms of break-in that the EG11 did. Nothing that required me to send it back or anything. The slide was just super tight. Hold on. The slide was just super tight. It has since loosened up much better. A little sticky, but much better. The grips, the thumb safety was super tight. Like you could barely move it. So it took a while for the Chirac to break in and really come into its own. One of my favorite guns still. I still think it's a great value buy. I think if you're looking in that kind of $4,000 to $5,000 range, this is a gun you should look at. But I also think that the three we're going to talk about next are probably the top prizes in this price range. All right, fam. Next up, we got the Crosman Arms, the covert version of the Crosman Arms. Look, fam, when you partner covert with a good company, good things are going to happen. And if you haven't seen the reviews that I did on all the Crosman guns, make sure you go back and check it out, because in addition to this 4.6 version, they have a 3.5 inch barrel version and a 5 inch. The 3.5 or 3.5 is special. It's a really special little gun. Like, I can very well see that gun becoming my everyday carry once mine comes in. And the 5 inch is smooth as butter. The issue that I kind of have with the 4.6 is not that it's not equally great. There's just a lot of competition in that 4.6 inch market. And how does this gun differentiate itself from the others? Well, I'll say it differentiates itself from the Staccato XC from the standpoint that it's an all-metal gun. It's got a better trigger, weighted really well. It's ported instead of comped, but shoots really, really soft. Better QC, better well manufactured than the H-TAC and the Chirac, and certainly the EG11. So for the price point, and I'll put the MSRP up there, for the price point, hard to beat the Crosman. So if you're looking, this is one of the three guns that I would definitely be thinking about if I had $4,000 to $5,000 to pay for 2011. All right, fam, look, we got two guns left. That is the RC9, the Race City RC9, and the Covert Watchtower Apache. Fam, I have gone back and forth, up and down, left and right about which gun is better. Remember I was telling you guys I had that experience when I was shooting the quad port and I was shooting the Erebus, and I really couldn't determine. They were so close. I was close to that here. Both of the guns are very, very well constructed. Obviously, the covert Apache is compensated while the RC9 is ported. I think, generally speaking, if you've got a really, really good comp, I think comp guns feel softer than ported guns, but I don't think the comp on the Apache is as good as, say, the XC comp or the HTAC comp. Conversely, I think the porting on the RC9 is very, very, very well done. But because they're comped and ported, I think probably they have the same effect. I think the Apache probably should be a little better, but I'd say it's comparable. But I gotta say, fam, just all around looks, fit, finish, both of them boasting Atlas triggers. I mean, different grip modules, but both are phenomenal. I'm gonna give the nod by just a little hair to the covert Apache. And I'll tell you why. As it sits today, I think it's probably a little bit better, but because it's comped, there is a modular component to this gun that is not available in a ported gun. And that is that you can change out the comp. And I happen to know that Covert is coming out with a sports or a competition comp, as well as a sight block that's going to really, really make this gun modular. And I think when that happens, it's already a little bit better than the RC9. I think when that happens, it's going to be significantly, noticeably better. So I'm rolling with the Covert Watchtower Apache as the best kind of mid-range gun. Now, again, based on what I've done to my XC, based on what I've done to the HTAC, I'm planning on doing some upgrades to the EG11. They're going to bring it up. All of these guns, like those two guns, are very, very competitive now with the RC9, with the Code Saint, and with the Covert. The difference is the RC9, the Code Saint, and the Covert Apache come this way out of the box. And the other guns, you gotta work them. The Legion Precision Chirac, you gotta really break it in, put a lot of rounds through it to get it to be kind of where you want it to be. The EG11, like I said, I'm sending it out, I'm gonna get it ported, I'm gonna get some work done to it. I'm sure it's gonna be smoothed out, but again, that needs to be done. Whereas the Code Saint, the RC9, and the Covert Apache out of the box are just crazy insane. All right, fam, look, that's it for this episode. Until next time, as always, take care of one another and peace.